You know, it's so funny how people don't change, even in the kind of extraordinary circumstance we're in. The apocalypse, an empty world, 7 years of trying to find each other, and Donnie still cannot wake up before 10 a.m. I don't know when I became an early riser. I thought it was one of those things that just happened as you got older, but it clearly doesn't happen to everybody. Donnie's older than me, and he still seems like a teenager. I'm not sure where to begin in talking about him. We spent hours yesterday sitting at the kitchen table and shooting the shit. Had a hell of a lot to catch up on. I know you might be curious, whoever you are, what Don was up to all this time, but that's another thing he wants to keep to himself. I'm not sure why. From what he's told me, it's not like there's anything particularly of note from the last 7 years, aside from the particulars of surviving, but I'm going to respect his choice. I guess that's another way that he hasn't changed. You spend decades keeping certain information siloed from one part of your life and other information siloed from another part of your life, and that just becomes normal. That was a bit of a theme among the crew, I guess. He was incredibly secretive about his home life, where he lived, who he lived with. He could have had a wife and kids for all we knew. Don didn't talk much about his family, even though he saw them all the time, and they didn't know about us. Even Harry's parents were still around, in New York, no less, but I didn't even know that until we were here. As far as they were concerned, she was an up-and-coming painter, which wasn't untrue, just incomplete. But besides being nostalgic about Chicago sometimes, Richie seemed to be like me. Whole life was one complete, messy piece. Maybe that's why we always got together at his place. And I guess we each had people, girlfriends mostly, who we didn't introduce to our professional life, but I'm not sure either of us really took pains to hide it. Or ever got very serious or committed in those parts of our lives. I'm not good at compartmentalizing, I don't think. I guess it goes hand in hand with the way I tend to fixate on a particular thing or person, but I just don't know how all of them could stand to lead such different lives depending on who they're with. I don't share Don's inclination toward privacy, even knowing that talking on here might eventually lead to my own ruin. Not that I've told you everything. Not that everything I have told you is true. But I don't feel like I'm hiding when I talk on here. That said, God, it is different talking to Don. I mean, Christ, it's so good to talk to someone who talks back, to talk to someone who knows me. I don't have to explain certain things. I don't have to make excuses for who I am or what I do. Not that I think I have done that a little to you. Not knowing who I'm talking to, well, makes me want to be a better version of myself, one who had a dignified job. One who contributed to the world in a positive way instead of breaking it. Donnie, God bless him, does not seem that pissed about the fact that he's here because of me. Don't get me wrong, he hates being here. He's furious he is, but when I explained everything, my theory that killing Billings created some sort of branching timeline that we're all stuck in, everyone who was affected by that action, he got it. He got why I did what I did, and he doesn't blame me for it. After all, how the hell would I have known what would happen? There is some comfort to be taken in that. When he asked, he wondered why he was here, of all people. He hasn't seen Pete or Richie anywhere, and he's looked, so he couldn't figure out why he was singled out. They were all awaiting trial, so why is he? I told him about Leanne. That there are some random ripple effects, that there might be even more people out there who we've never even met that had the trajectory of their lives changed by what I did. That we may never really understand how and why the dominoes fell the way they did. Anyway, I'm gonna see what I can scrounge up for breakfast. Maybe by the time he wakes up, I'll be able to surprise Don with something. 7 years, and he hasn't once had the pleasure of waking up to someone else having made breakfast. We haven't talked about that yet, not really. The fact that he was alone and I had Harry. Whenever I tried to ask. So yeah, I'll be off the radio for the rest of the day. We have even more catching up to do. Whiskey out.